What's up, everybody? Shauna D Man here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great Friday, a great 4th of July, spending time with friends and family. We are here because we are going to be talking about some Jurassic World Rebirth, the newest installment, the 7th installment of the Jurassic Park / World franchise. Dropped 2 days ago, July 2nd. I went and saw it last night. Before we get into it, definitely, if you're new to my YouTube or Rumble, definitely check out those channels. I will have links down in the description below. Definitely check out the other content that I do as well. Later tonight, I will be live streaming some Batman Arkham City. So you definitely don't want to miss that if that is something you are interested in. But other than that, let us jump into the review for Jurassic World Rebirth. So overall, this was one of my anticipated films of 2025. Now, it's coming during this blockbuster July because not only we had Jurassic World just released, next week we have Superman, and then I think about 2 weeks or so afterwards we have the Fantastic Four. So this month of July was already going to be jam-packed with a fun load of movies that I'm somewhat excited for. Superman and Fantastic Four, I'm a little on, but Jurassic World Rebirth was definitely something I was excited for, especially since we got news a couple of weeks ago of Jurassic World Evolution 3, which is dropping this October. So if you're a Jurassic World Park fan, you are getting a lot of fun content. Now, we still don't know much about Jurassic Park Survival, but hopefully we'll get more about that down the line. But as far as the movie goes, listen, I think IGN came out the other day when it dropped and gave it a 5. I don't really pay that much attention to critics and stuff like sites like that because, again, IGN was also the same one who gave Dragon Age Dragon Age Veilguard a 9 out of 10, or it's like they scored it a 9. So their value on stuff I don't really take into account. Rotten Tomatoes came out with at least at the time of me recording, it was like a 34% score for Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, here's the thing, and then you can see it. They scored relatively high with the first two, but ever since then, since Jurassic Park 3 and onward, their scores have been not that great. They haven't really been high on the film. However, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion, although they have low Rotten Tomato score, all three of those movies have made over $1 billion, and I do believe this is going to make over $1 billion. It does really, really well in the international market. Why that is, I don't know, but you'll see comments like, "Oh, the movie looks trash," and this isn't Jurassic Park, and like people try to compare it to the first two. Now people have issues with the Lost World of Jurassic Park, but mainly the original Jurassic Park. And this is its own entity, plain and simple. And we got Gareth Edwards coming in, which I was very much excited for because I personally believe he did a good job with the 2014 MonsterVerse first installment with Godzilla 2014. He has always been, and he also did Rogue One. He's always been relatively good with scale. And in this movie, you do get a lot of scale, whether it is the D-Rex or the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then a few other dinosaurs that we see throughout the film as well. Visually, I really, really liked it. It was very colorful. There wasn't like this weird bluish filter that you kind of felt like was there with the 3 Jurassic World movies. I can't really explain what it is, but if it felt like there was always like this weird kind of like filter over it, and it just made everything look a little weird. This one definitely colorful, definitely just visually gorgeous, in my opinion. Now, that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion in regards to that kind of stuff. I thought the designs of the dinosaurs looked good, and they changed a lot too. Because, for instance, the Titanosaurus or Titanosaurus, I guess Titanosaurus, I believe how you pronounce it. We saw what it first looked like in the first trailer, and in this movie, it looks very drastically different. And I think I like this what we saw in this movie. The design maybe a little bit more than what we saw in the trailer. The Jurassic Parks, like the Jurassic franchise, has always had these moments where they play that key score over specific moments, whether it's Allie, not Allie, Ellie, Allen, and Hammond watching the Brachiosaurus and the famous they do move in herds line, or it's in Jurassic Park 3 where you see where they're on the river and you get into that clearing and it is the um, massive herd of herbivores, the ankylosauruses, the stegosauruses, the brachiosauruses. And then even in this movie, it had its own little moment like that. So I do enjoy when these movies have those kind of moments involved. Uh, Story wise, they brought back the original, I believe, writer for the original Jurassic Park. Overall, story wise, it the best way I could describe it, it felt more like if you ever remember watching, if you grew up during the 2000s, you remember watching the Sci-Fi channel. And this movie felt like watching a Sci-Fi channel uh movie because the plot is basically straightforward. Uh Dinosaurs are basically going extinct again for the most part, except for in a few places along the equator where dinosaurs are happening. But like as far as like dinosaurs like on continents and stuff like that, they are slowly dying out. Um, uh, you know, they say climate change and disease and stuff like that. It's kind of like what's causing the issue, but there are specific pockets along the equator because it matches the atmosphere and the topography and everything from 65 million years ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And so the dinosaurs in this particular location are relatively fine. They're healthy, they're good, they're all that. So the plan is they're going to go to this island. They're going to get DNA from or like blood samples, whatever, from three specific dinosaurs. You already know what they are because they talk about it a good bit throughout the trailers and stuff like that. But it's the mosasaurs, the Quetzalcoatl, and the Titanosaurs. Um, you got the rich corporate guy who wants to patent this and use it as like medicine and stuff like that. Then you have Henry, who believes science benefits. Science is for everybody, not for a select few, and so everybody should have access to these samples. And uh, so they go to the island, get the samples, and then obviously chaos ensues. Uh, so the story is just pretty straightforward. Like there's not much to really think about it. It's definitely like a sci-fi 2005 style kind of movie. Like it's just a monster movie. Like you could probably say, yeah, it's not a dinosaur movie, and like, yeah, they can't get Jurassic Park right. But I think there's only so much you can do with Jurassic Park as a franchise as a whole up to this point. Obviously, you cannot replicate what the original Jurassic Park did, or even with what Lost World Jurassic Park, and maybe even Jurassic Park 3. But really, Jurassic Park, you can't really replicate what that movie did. And well, it is what it is. Like there's only so much you can do. Like the first three Jurassic Park movies. Oh, We're on an island. Jurassic World, we're back on the original island. And then obviously you have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. First we're on the island, now we're on the mainland, and then Dominion, where we're on the mainland, and then this returns back to an island. So there's not much you can really do unless you get really, really creative with it. I don't know how creative you can be with this kind of franchise, but that's beside the point. Um, there were some moments where I was like, but I basically I have no problem saying this movie is a movie where you just turn off your brain and just enjoy it. And like there are going to be people who still have issues with the movie. They are entitled to their opinions, but I think there's so some of the issues I had was so for instance, I don't know they showcase this throughout the trailers and stuff like this, but there's a little uh how do you pronounce it? Inquilus. It's a small little dinosaur named Dolores, who is essentially becomes an emotional support dinosaur, which I don't know if that's really like a necessary thing to have, because the youngest daughter that's with the family that gets stuck on the island with Scarlett Johansson's and Mashallah Ali characters and stuff like that. She looks like she can have panic attacks, that kind of stuff, and Dolores calms her down. So it's essentially an emotional support dinosaur. Now, if that was their intention or not, I don't really know. That's just kind of what I got from it. It was basically that. So that was like, I don't really like that as much. The Mutadon, love the design. I love the look of it. There's a moment where we see it for the first time and it flies off. I wish that it didn't do that. I wish it would, you know, maybe it gets like a couple of feet in the air, but it doesn't fly. But it flew, so that was another thing that I necessarily didn't like. I wish they would have just either kept it like a grounded animal, or if it could fly, it was just very limited on how it could do it. Um, so the family that gets trapped on the island as well. They're out sailing on the ocean. They do this apparently every year, but this is the one time where they happen to run into a mosasaurus. I don't know, you like they say no one's like all the world's governments have cut off access to like these islands and stuff like that. Um, they run into a mosasaurus and spinosaurus. That didn't make sense to me either, because the scene where they get attacked by the mosasaurus, okay, Scarlett Johansson's team, uh, they're vastly approaching the island, okay. They're about 28 miles away from where the mosasaurus attacked the family. And so I was kind of like, the mosasaurus I could get, but would Spinosaurus really be out that far in the ocean like that? I know it's an amphibian stylish kind of dinosaur, at least from fossil records and stuff like that. It could swim and stuff like that. It was just like I don't know if it would really be that far out away from the island like that. Where I don't know. And then we get some death scenes. Obviously, first one we kind of saw in the trailer where the guy gets eaten by the Spinosaurus, um, and then there's like a female friend of Duncan and Scarlett Johansson's characters. Uh, you it's off screen, but it's kind of not like there's a Spinosaurus like sleeping. I guess it was sleeping on the side, and it gets her, and then their other friend gets eaten by the Quetzalcoatl, which you probably could have figured that out just by some of the shots in the trailers and stuff like that. But the deaths were okay. And then the corporate guy, Obviously, he's going to meet his end, and he does. Um, the Mutadon, there's a scene towards the end where the family escape. So you've seen the clip where they're at the gas station and the lights all come on and everything, and they get attacked by the Mutadon. Um, there's a scene where it's like stalking them inside the convenience store of the gas station, and they escape through like a like a hatch through the floor. And when you first look at it, it clearly looks like it's not that big. Like it's not that big for people to fit into through the grate and get underneath the store floor and everything. But they're able to, and then we see a Mutadon do it as well. And I was just kind of like, it looked way too big to fit in there, and so it's kind of like I don't know about that, but needless to say, um, I'm trying to think if there was like anything else particular about the movie. It was it's about hour and a half, I think it was. I don't know. The movie it was fine. Like I would I say is better than like Dominion and Fallen Kingdom? Probably, yeah. I probably would say that. Um, I'm trying to think. There's like anything. I'm glad they didn't do like this whole love thing with. Oh, I remember. Okay, I remember what it is now. There's not a. They started this thing in the movie with the family that's trapped on the island with them. They start this thing with the dad and the boyfriend where at the beginning, like I think his name was Xavier. The dad's like, "Hey Xavier, it's your turn to take over the boat," and that kind of thing. And he's just kind of like lackadaisical about it. Doesn't It's like, oh, I'm so tired, and it's just like, what do we? And then they they start to bond, but it doesn't pay off. There's not a payoff for it. But I thought that was something that they could have explored a little bit more throughout the movie as well. The famous riverboat scene with the Tyrannosaurus. I think the problem with movies now, and we saw Jurassic World did this, but not as much as Superman is doing it, where they are releasing so many of these clips. Now, Jurassic World, I think, really only released maybe three or four that I can clearly think of off the top of my head. There was the guy getting eaten by the Spinosaurus, them trying to hit the Spinosaurus with the injector, uh, the Mutadon scene at the gas station, and I can't. There might have been just three. I feel like there's a fourth one that I mentioned that I missed missing, but I can't think of what it is. Um, I feel like but we already. Oh, it's the Tyrannosaurus scene. The whole river raft scene is what that's what it is. Um, there was okay the river. Okay, so the oldest daughter goes across the river because there's like a boat that they can see because the dad hurt his ankle trying to or yeah hurt his leg trying to save his youngest daughter and all that. And this is the Dilophosaurus just snacking on a Parasaurolophus. Um, there's a T-Rex sleeping. That was also kind of a scene that changed as well from the first trailer, but there's a moment where I kind of liked it, but then I was kind of like, how where she goes and she pulls open she number I don't know why she tried to inflate the raft like right there next to the T-Rex, but when she does it, it inflates and everything. You clearly see the T-Rex wake up, and then as the raft fully inflates and falls down, the T-Rex is gone. Like it just disappears. I don't know how like Xavier, the dad, and the youngest sister who are across the river didn't see the T-Rex get up and everything. Maybe they did, but I don't know. It was like a little weird scene for me, but that's just man. But the river raft scene was pretty cool. I loved the size of the T-Rex. I thought again, Gareth Edward does such a pretty good job with scale and things like that. And I thought the T-Rex looked awesome. It looked just gorgeous. There were some green screen that you can tell here and there, but nothing really too dramatic. But yeah, I mean, overall, this movie was. I definitely would say I would give it maybe like a 7.5 out of 10. It's an entertaining movie. It's just a monster movie. It's a dinosaur monster movie, and I am okay with that. I have no problem with that. The D-Rex looked relatively cool. I thought. So this was something that didn't make sense to me. So at the beginning of the movie, um, yeah, these people are going into the containment field where I believe the D-Rex is. There's a guy eating a Snickers. He drops the wrapper. The wrapper kind of like just follows them through the containment and stuff like that, and then it gets stuck. It gets sucked in by the automatic door as it's sliding closed, causes a malfunction. The whole system has to reboot, which messes with the containment field. The D-Rex gets loose. It was very horror element like as well, because I mean, again, we kind of saw that through one of the trailers where the guy's like basically pleading for his life. The girl who had a spare key, she was getting ready to help him, but then she notices that the D-Rex is behind him, and obviously he dies and stuff like that. So that was just a weird thing that you probably could have done something different in regards to that. I don't know. You needed to do the whole Snickers wrapper getting sucked into the automatic door, which causes a malfunction and has to reboot the system kind of thing. You could have done something different than that, but I guess whatever. But overall, like I said, 7.5 out of 10. It's just an entertaining movie. I definitely would say it's probably more entertaining for me to watch than Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion. I think I would still choose I think I would still choose Jurassic World and Jurassic Park 3 over this one, but I still had a fun time watching the movie. So definitely a 7.5 out of 10. I would definitely say go watch it, enjoy it. It's just a monster movie. But guys, that's relatively it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Be sure you check out all the links down below to find me on other social medias, things like that. But guys, have a great 4th of July, and I will see you in the next video. Y'all have a good one.